What's up? Here we go. Hey, how y'all doing tonight? Good to see you on Travel Tips Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode. We've got a slightly different episode we're doing tonight. We're diverging away from the Disney verse for a little bit, as we call it here on Travel Tips Tuesday. We might talk a little bit about it here and there, kind of sprinkled about, but I wanted to focus in one particular area that I think will benefit a lot of people as they're vacation planning and share one massive travel tip for people that are planning on traveling anytime in the next 6 to 12 months, especially, I would say, in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 months or more from now, or even sooner than that. So we'll get into that here in just a second. We're going to give people a chance to kind of pop on and see what's going on. Have a lot to share with you tonight after an awesome meeting ahead with somebody last week. I want to go ahead and throw up our question of the day for you. For those of you that are popping on, what is your favorite non-Disney travel memory? We'd love to hear what that is. If you have a favorite non-Disney travel memory, pop that in the comments. We'd love to share that with everyone. And just to kind of get this out of the way, if you do share this publicly on the comments right now on our live broadcast, that is kind of permission for me to share that publicly here. So I will go and maybe pull a couple of things from my personal feed, but I'll only give first names, just to kind of protect privacy for people that may or may not want those things shared. So most of them are fine, just kind of pretty exciting, fun things. So would love to hear from you if you have a special travel memory, and would love to share some of those with the rest of the crew tonight that is tuning in, and for those that are tuning in on the podcast. So let's get started. It is not a holiday episode. We're going to take that off. So what is your favorite non-Disney travel memory? What is your favorite non-Disney travel memory? Would love for you all to share that with us tonight. Awesome. Cool. So it looks like some folks are popping on. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Tonight, this is Travel Tips Tuesday. It is July the 20th, 2021, and the travel season is busy. It is back in full swing. As a travel advisor, honestly, it's been hard to keep up lately with the number of quotes that are coming in, managing current clients that are traveling right now and ones that are coming in a few months. Have a big meeting on Friday to talk over dining, to coordinate that for 5 different families that are traveling to the Walt Disney World Resort in October. Got a lot of people travel, over 12, 13, 14 families that are traveling in October to the Walt Disney World Resort. So people are wanting to go, not just to Disney, but to all-inclusive destinations as well, which is what we're going to get into tonight. So if you do have a favorite non-Disney travel memory, I would love for you to share that with us tonight. What is your favorite non-Disney travel memory? Would love to hear that from you. So Charles Qualls, one of our regular kind of viewers and listeners, comments, watching the lights come up on the Parthenon as the sun went down. They were on a hotel rooftop nearby having dessert. It was magical. I'm assuming you don't mean the replica in Nashville, the actual one in Greece. There is, for those of you that don't know this, there is a replica of the Parthenon in Nashville, full-scale, built replica. And my wife and kiddos have had a chance to go up and see that. They went on a little field trip up there one day. So that is really cool, Charles. I would love to be able to see that in person someday. And speaking of which, Greece is a great place to go and travel for folks from the States. The dollar does very well there. The client service experience is great. There are some cruise lines even that specifically sail just the Greek Isles. Some of the major cruise lines like Royal Caribbean also do cruises around the Greek Isles as well. Great place to go and see that part of Europe, and you can have a great experience as well. So awesome place. Definitely look it up. Definitely check it out. Yeah, he says the real deal in Athens, Greece, not Nashville. So there's that. We'll love to hear from some more of you about your favorite non-Disney travel memories. Feel free to share that with us as we kind of get into a few announcements tonight. The first one is this, and I've mentioned this recently, but I want to spend some more time on this, especially if this applies to you. If you are going on a cruise, if you are thinking about going to maybe Canada, I heard that, I believe there's an announcement made that Canada is going to start allowing fully vaccinated Americans pretty soon to come in back into Canada. So that's pretty cool to hear that. The same thing, some of the European countries are starting to reopen for travel as well. Ireland, I believe, just announced that they're going to be reopening for travel. So travel is starting to come back to normal. As we were saying just a few moments ago in kind of the pre-show time frame, people are wanting to go. People are raring to kind of get out there, use that vacation time, create some great memories, and it's a great opportunity to start thinking about that. But if you want to go to Athens, Greece, for instance, you have to have this little thing called a passport. You have to have what's called a passport. And most people know what that is. And in order to get one, you have to have a birth certificate. You have to apply for it. You got to get your pretty, square photo taken on a, qualified, solid background and all those kinds of things. So if you want to know more about the passport application process and, what it takes to get one, go to the State Department website. There's lots of different kind of third-hand blog sites that kind of gives you some tips and stuff, and we'll kind of link you to different places. But the only true official place to go to get the information that you need is the U.S. If you're a U.S. citizen, because we do have some people from Canada and across the pond in the U.K. that do travel, tune in on occasion. If you're a U.S. citizen, the only place you want to go to check out the official information is the U.S. State Department website. You can find out information on how long it's going to take, which we're going to talk about in a minute. What kind of picture you need, the documents you need, where you can go, what if you're doing standard, expedited, or in-person appointments, and what is you can use a passport for, how long they're good for, all those kinds of things. So passports are a very versatile document. You can use them for a number of different things when you're applying for jobs and different types of ID. Even if you're flying domestically, you can use that as a form of ID if you don't have your license. So a number of different things you can use that for. They're good for 10 years. So, pay the money, get it done, and have it, because you never know when you're going to need it. And again, valid for 10 years. So why not just go ahead and have it? The big thing is this: if you're planning on traveling internationally, basically anytime between now and then, check your passport dates. Typically, they need to have a 6-month kind of pad from the date that you're going to get back. Most countries, even the U.S., is kind of particular about this when you're coming back in. They want to see that your passport is valid at least 6 months or longer from the date that you're going to return. That's just to kind of avoid, there's counterfeiting and different things that are out there. And anyway, so just to kind of put that out there to make sure that everyone is safe and good and ready to go. The next thing is this: passport processing times are at an all-time high right now. I had a client go today, and I warned this was going to happen because they were looking at taking a fall break trip in October. And I had mentioned that the passport processing times, not just for standard processing, but for expedited processing, so you pay a slightly higher fee to get your passport go through faster, are pushing like the 12-week mark. Normally you see it at about 6 weeks. So it's taken about 6 weeks for it actually to be processed, but that's not accounting shipping and handling and all those kinds of things. It is literally taking about 12 weeks. So they would not get their passport back until October. At this point. So just be aware, if you're planning on traveling anytime this fall, check your passport dates like now. Get them out of the safe deposit box, get them out of your fire safe, wherever they may be, pull them out, check those dates, double check and make sure they're good, because you want to make sure that you're not going to get caught in a bind when you really need it. So especially like if you're thinking about traveling early 2021, like on a cruise or all inclusive, or especially early 2022 or later in 2021, definitely check those dates, because you want to go ahead and get that process now. Make sure you know where the proper documents are and get up and get those things through. Another thing I want to mention is this: in connection with that, there was an announcement some time ago that we had to have these little things called real IDs. I think is the technical name. Basically, it's a stamp on your license. Sometimes they put a little star or something on it. Where I've got one on mine. It's called a Star ID in Alabama, where they have to verify your residency as a U.S. citizen. And starting, it was going to be, I think, in 2020. They pushed it off a year, then 2021, and then I was pushed off, I think, another couple of years. I think all the way into 2023 to give people an opportunity to get those IDs. So just in case you had not been updated, those types of IDs will not be required for domestic travel until some time from now. So you're good if you're thinking about that. Don't worry about that for right now. Just make sure if you're traveling internationally, cruises, international kind of all-inclusive vacations, those kinds of things, flying internationally, going across the borders, make sure you have your passport ready to go. So I want to talk about all-inclusive resorts specifically tonight because I think they're a place that a lot of people miss. Sometimes they're a bit of a mystery, like what exactly do you do? What does all-inclusive mean? We did have one episode of Travel Tips Tuesday a few months ago where we kind of looked at different types of all-inclusive resorts and what that meant for, say, couples or families or individuals, and based on kind of quality of service and available amenities. Well, tonight we're going to take a deep dive into what I think is the perfect all-inclusive resort for families, and that is based on locations. It is based on amenities. It is based on quality of service. All those kinds of things, accommodations, and all the things you can get with that. You get the most bang for your buck, I believe, at this particular location. Now, it is one of the more kind of higher level options, and we're going to talk about Beaches Resorts tonight. And I want to kind of go over, we're going to take a specific look at Beaches Turks and Caicos, and I've got kind of a little brochure here that I'm going to use kind of as a prop to kind of guide me through. And this is recent information. I had a meeting last week with one of our representatives from the Sandals and Beaches Resorts that works with travel agents in the state of Alabama. And she drove up from Birmingham and was meeting some folks up here in my neck of the woods and brought me a few things to help out, including this brochure to kind of educate me so I can educate my clients, let them know what's coming. So a few things about beaches. Right now, they have 3 locations that are available. 2 of them are in Jamaica, and that's Beaches Negril and Beaches Ocho Rios. There's a third one that we're going to talk about called Beaches Turks and Caicos. They have also announced that there's some new locations that are coming for the Sandals and Beaches family. Now, Beaches is for families. The Sandals resorts are adults only for 2 people. So with families, you can add several individuals in one room. With Sandals Resort, you can only have 2 in a room. With Beaches, again, they have to be their families, so the age requirements aren't really there. So just know that there are some, but we're going to talk about some of the kids' activities and whatnot here in just a second. But with Sandals, you have to be 18 or over for those. So let's talk about quality inclusions for Beaches Resorts, specifically Turks and Caicos. So what comes with a Beaches Resorts vacation? What comes with a Beaches Resorts vacation? I'm going to take our question of the day off the screen here for just a moment. We're going to come back to that here in just a little bit. But the first thing are going to be the quality of, the beaches. They're not going to call a resort beaches and have nasty beaches. They have people that are literally out there. If there's seaweed that comes up, which does kind of happen, it's not so much of a seasonal thing with beaches in the Caribbean, but it does happen in kind of waves, no pun intended. And they do have people that are dedicated to keeping the beaches clean, swept of ocean trash and seaweed and things, so people can have a quality experience. At Beaches Resorts, there are also land and water sports that are included, 5-star global gourmet dining, luxurious, unique rooms and suites of different kinds, nightly entertainment, certified nannies. And the certified nannies are not just like, okay, I'm going to go online, find some thing where I pay like, $5 and they give you a certificate that says certified nanny on it. No, these are nannies that go through specific intense training to serve families with children well. And they do an outstanding job at what they do. Also, they have dedicated kids and teens programming that are kind of separated in different age groups. They have staff members that will lead them through those particular activities. There's also water parks at the Beaches Resorts. The biggest one is going to be at Beaches Turks and Caicos. It's also the largest of the resorts as well. I'm going to do some comparisons here in just a second. Daily scuba diving for certified divers that's available. There's also some certification courses that you can pay for when you go, and those are things that you can look into when you go there. There are Butler Elite services that are available if you're looking for a very personalized experience. There's also the Caribbean Adventure with Sesame Street. So if you love your character greetings, if you love that kind of interaction that you get with those characters that you see, you've got kids that love Sesame Street, so Elmo, Big Bird, Grover, all those guys and whatnot. So just go in, have fun, go all in. They're a lot of fun to hang out with, and they're very good with their character interactions if that's something that you love. And here's a good thing with Beaches Resorts: tips, taxes, and transfers are included. So you're not paying extra to get to and from the airport. You're not paying extra to tip your, say room room or whatever, or your restaurant servers and whatnot. The only exception to that is that tipping is allowed for butlers. So if you do have a butler level service, that is an optional thing that you can do. Most of the times that's encouraged, and most of the time people that do have butler level services at beaches or at Sandals do have that option for them. So let's kind of take a look. Actually, let's kind of go back and see. I think Charles had another comment for us tonight on our question of the day, which is, what is your favorite non-Disney travel memory? And he said another was being in Prague for 4 nights, including my birthday, as they opened up the annual Christmas market. I bet that was awesome. I bet that was really, really cool. I'm a big fan of Christmas, the season, and I would love to have been there for that. My particular kind of favorite memory, non-Disney travel memory, if I'm thinking, say, pre-family, pre-marriage, was when I was in 6th grade. My parents said, okay, we're going to take you out of school early. So I didn't, I missed that last week of school. And we're going to take you out. And on your birthday, we're going to leave and we're going to go to Europe. So I'm like, okay, what? So again, got our passports, all those things set up. And I have some very fond memories of my family, so myself and the oldest, my brother, and then my sister and my mom, dad, going to Europe, traveling across Europe by train, seeing some amazing places in Italy and Germany, Italy, Austria, the Netherlands, and France, and even over in England and different places. It was just a really amazing experience, getting to see some things that, possibly I may not ever get to go back and see again. We had read the Diary of Anne Frank as a family and got to go to Anne Frank's house, and that was just really neat, kind of touching the history there. And it was just really neat, and also getting to go around Italy and see some of the very well-known spots: Vatican City, the Colosseum, the Forum, many other places like that. Some of the other amazing places in and around Europe. And again, I was like 12, right? So I was like kind of maybe just old enough to appreciate some of that. But it was a really cool experience and had an amazing time. So Beaches Turks and Caicos is an amazing resort. It is the largest of the current beaches resorts that are out there. And kind of just to kind of compare them. So from the Miami airport, you're looking at about a 75-minute flight. So I mentioned that they're in a great location, so you're not dealing with like multi-hour flights to the other side of the world. So from Miami, you're looking at about 75 minutes. There are 758 rooms and suites. So the way they have their rooms and suites split up are into villages of different themes. They have like an Italian one, a French one, a Caribbean one, I think maybe one or two others. There are 24, that's right, a 2 and a 4, 24 restaurants available. And they have anything from Indian to, Mexican cuisine, to Italian cuisine, to, American cuisine. They've got a food truck that just serves different types of mac and cheese. They've got ice cream. They've got all the things that you could eat and that you could want. And one particular thing about dining at beaches, or Sandals for that matter, at the family resort beaches or at the adult only all-inclusive resort Sandals, is that if they're preparing a food, say it's Italian or Indian food, as I mentioned, it is going to be a chef from Italy or a chef from India or a chef from Mexico if you're eating Mexican food. Or if it's a steak and seafood, surf and turf kind of place that's really popular in the States, you might have an American chef that's there serving you up. So they try to be authentic onto the smallest detail possible, the smallest detail all along the way, because they want to make sure you have an absolutely incredible experience every step of the way. So I mentioned there are a number of different types of villages. There is the Antalya village that is kind of, it has that sort of red, I forget what they call it, the red kind of slate looking rooftops and sort of the real authentic Italian vibe to it. It has a large main feature pool that you see. If you're familiar with a lot of beaches resorts, you'll see beaches kind of on the bottom and whatnot. There are a lot of pools all over beaches as well. So there are actually 10 pools at the beaches resorts, and there are 2 additional pools that are just kiddie pools, and they have 4 whirlpools on top of that, and the massive water park and a surf simulator, by the way. So if you're not a fan of getting sandy, you don't even have to go to the beach to get wet and enjoy that. So a lot of really cool things to experience there. So they also have a French village as well that kind of has a French Riviera sort of feel to it, very relaxed, not as I would say not as large as the Italian village side of the resort, but definitely French food. There's a French restaurant there if you like French food. Definitely dig into that. They even have a train ride that you can take. There's a Key West village that is now there. If you want that sort of Southern Florida Key West vibe, if you love that architecture, if you love that feel that you get when you go to South Florida, where we're just chilling, hanging out, relaxing, soaking up some sun, and enjoying the day, enjoying your time, definitely check out the Key West Village. I believe it is recently remodeled as well. There's a lot of different things. As I mentioned, there are some land sports that are included, and what that means is this. Okay, it's not just they'll give you a basketball and maybe a soccer ball and a frisbee to kind of go outside. You can play basketball, you can play beach volleyball, soccer, day and night tennis. We got both: croquet, shuffleboard, table tennis, billiards, lawn chess, pool tables, other types of billiards, as I mentioned, board games, and they have a fully equipped fitness center. So just because you're going to an all-inclusive, if you're a fitness fanatic, if you're getting in shape for something, which by the way, next Tuesday. Sidebar, next Tuesday, the general registration for the 2022 Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend reopens. And if you remember, I was thinking about doing this thing called the Dopey Challenge. I was thinking about it. I was registered for it. I had paid the money. I had trained. I was like running, not really worrying so much about pace, but running to all the training runs and all the things. And then this little thing called COVID happened. So right now they're still on pace to hold the event. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm going to get in to register for it. And hopefully that'll be a pretty awesome thing. So if I were to go on a cruise, if I were to go on an all-inclusive resort, I would want to check out the fitness center or, look in to see what, availability for running they have as well. They do have a lot of water sports that are included. And it's not just, hopping in a kayak. Listen to this. They have the water park, which we mentioned, open face, open, ocean kayaks, snorkeling. They have several pools, as we mentioned, one scuba pool specifically, 4 whirlpools, 10 water slides, windsurfing, paddleboarding, daily scuba diving expeditions, Hobie Cats. If you know how to sail a Hobie Cat or you want some instruction, you can go out and knock it out. Aqua trikes, underwater glass bottom boats, Caribbean's only surf stream, surf simulator. And you're probably asking, how much extra are all those things? They are all included. This is the kind of value that you get when you go to a beaches resort. Now, I'm not knocking other all-inclusive resorts at all. There are a lot of great ones out there. There are no sandals or beaches resorts in Mexico. That's a question I get often. I do know of several resorts that I've actually mentioned to some clients fairly recently that are great that are in Mexico for families and for couples. So, don't get disheartened. Well, I really want that experience, but I don't I want to go to Mexico. I don't want to have to get in a plane and fly over water or whatever the case may be. So there are a lot of great options in Mexico for sure. If you have questions about you want to know them, please message me and please shoot me an email or a comment. Would love to talk to you about that. Now, I mentioned there are some scuba diving opportunities. If you are certified, make sure you bring this proper documents to prove your certifications with you. If not, they do have a PADI certified dive instruction opportunity available. That is for an additional charge, and you can book that when you get there. There are a lot of great dive sites at all the resorts. So whatever sandals or beaches resort you may be staying at, there is some information on site where you'll be able to take their boats to go to the particular dive site. So you have questions about scuba diving. I am not a certified scuba diver, but if you have a specific question about the dive sites there, please let me know. I've gotten them before. I've been able to get answers directly from the source, and I will let you know. I will let you know for sure. As I mentioned, there are a lot of activities available for little ones of all shapes and sizes. There are luxurious climate-controlled nurseries available with babysitting service by accredited nannies, strollers, high chairs, rocking chairs, all the things. If you travel like me, we got a family of 4. When we go to Disney, we're like the back of the minivan is like dragging them around and sparks are coming from there, the exhaust pipe. I mean, you take a lot of stuff. Right? If you're worrying about a place where you're trying to dream of a place where you can go as a family and you don't have to worry about bringing all the things, but you want to be able to go and know that you're going to be taken care of, Beaches is definitely a place that you want to put on your list to look into. They're going to have your rocking chairs. They're going to have age appropriate toys. They're going to have high chairs. They're going to have strollers. They're going to have your kids' snacks. They're going to have your playtime. And we're going to talk about allergies here in a second, and also autism as well, because those are two specific things that come up in conversation sometimes. There are cribs that you can get available as well. And again, we mentioned Sesame Street, the interactions that they get there. Toddler pools, face painting, treasure hunts, sandcastle building, costume time, baseball, kickball, story time, nature exploration, puppet making, arts and crafts, swimming, relay races, scavenger hunts, golf and tennis clinics. So if you want to teach your kiddos, maybe try and get them to learn how to play a little bit of golf or tennis. Maybe mom and dad can go off and play around, and which there are some transfer services that are available for Beaches Resort guests to some of the courses that are available in close proximity. So just be aware of that for golfers out there. Sailing and kayaking, snorkeling, beach science, basketball, pool games, and then, of course, beach bonfires. So lots of different programs for the kiddos that are out there. I mentioned Sesame Street, and it's not like one or two characters, y'all. I mean, it's a lot of them. So they go all out for beaches. They want their kiddos to have an amazing time while they're there. So Brad Toon is popping on. Now, Brad Toon is a friend, and he's not a close friend, but he pops into my buddy Dave Adams and sometimes my friend Terry Weaver's podcast, and he asks a very important question: how do the prices compare to cruises? Is it similar to the deluxe line? So that's a great question. So cruises, for all intents and purposes, are kind of a floating all-inclusive in a way. So your hotel room kind of follows you around. Some are closed loop cruises, meaning they kind of go out, they might stop at one place and they come right back. Some are one-way cruises, all sorts of different types of cruises that are out there. And we need to kind of take a step back into that industry and sort of take a look at some of the options that are out there. As far as space goes and the accommodations, Brad, to answer your questions, for an all-inclusive resort, specifically beaches, you will have more room, specifically the family suites. So there are some smaller like double bed options. You might see maybe like 2 queens or something like that. There are some multi-room suites that are available as well, different types of views and tubs and walkouts and ocean fronts and all those different kinds of things. So as far as comparing maybe the actual, like a stateroom on board a ship to the accommodation at the resort, I'm going to say that there's no comparison there. You're going to be more comfortable, way more comfortable, and have more room to stretch out at an all-inclusive experience at beaches versus on a cruise ship, unless you go to a higher end, like club level kind of experience, where you're going to be paying top dollar for those. You're going to get, again, more bang for your buck, I think, at beaches. But there are some benefits to cruising as well that I absolutely love, that are a great experience. So, don't put that aside. The other thing is this, regarding food. So one of the reasons why people love cruising are the food opportunities that are there. All the premium level food opportunities that you could have. So like steak and lobster, just to throw that out there, sushi, all of that is included. You can have that at almost every meal if you wanted to, and they wouldn't bat an eye. So you're not going to be paying extra for those. For some cruise ships, in fact, I think most of them, you do end up paying up charges for those premium level food options. All your soft drinks, soda, coffee, all of that is included as well as premium drink options that are out there. That is included. You're not paying extra for that. So it's kind of it's literally, this is probably the truest sense of the word, an all-inclusive. As far as an all-inclusive stay goes, there are some all-inclusive resorts. Again, we talked about it in a past episode when we looked at different types of all-inclusives. There's some that will nickel and dime you when you get there. You might be paying, more for, say, something that's top shelf. You might be paying more for your premium food options. They might only have a buffet that's open anytime. Some of them have room service, some don't. Some it's 24 hours, some it's 12 hours. St. Hills and Beaches room service is a little bit different depending on the room category that you're staying in. That's the only thing that's maybe like a little different for them. But the level of food, the level of authenticity, the attention to detail that you get at a Beaches family resort is unparalleled. The closest thing as far as cruise lines that you might be able to find with that is maybe on, again, one of the upper echelon Disney stateroom cabins, or maybe with the Royal Caribbean Genies that are available, which is kind of their version of sort of an onboard butler experience. So with some of those staterooms, you do get a kind of similar experience. But again, you're not floating around. Nobody's having to deal with seasickness. You're right in one spot. They have medical professionals that are on site all the time. The kids' activities are included. There's a lot of kids' activities. The nannies and butlers. The butlers themselves are trained as well by, I think it's the English Guild of Butlers. So it's, again, they're not going online and paying $5 to get certified by some back end, some back alley operation. They do a great job at making sure that they are set up and ready to go. I mentioned the water park. So there's a splash pad area. There's a surf simulator. There's a lazy river. We're big fans of lazy rivers in my house. They have corkscrew slides, all sorts of different water slides. I think I mentioned they have around 10 water slides or so, and it's called Pirates Island. And there's a specific section of the park that is a little bit closer. So like if you're going with a younger family, your kids are going to be at the water park a lot. We can look at accommodations for you that may be a little bit closer to the water parks. So there's an Xbox Play Lounge. If your kids love video games, there's also a specific kind of teen lounge and game room area for the older kids where they can kind of hang out together as well. And there's the spas. So some of the things that are not included with the Sandals or Beaches vacation are the spa services. And that's pretty standard for any all-inclusive resort or kind of cruise vacation. There are spas there where you can have, the couples experience, or maybe a single individual can go. So definitely check those out and sign up for those. There are, limited appointments and availability for those. We'd love to answer questions for you about that. There are some complimentary uses of some of the facilities, specifically Beaches, Turks and Caicos, and some of the other Beaches resorts, like the hot and cold plunge pools. There's a steam room and sauna, his and her locker rooms, and state-of-the-art fitness centers. Those are over there by the spas for you. At Sandals Resorts, for the adults, they have something called Love Nest Suites. Their kind of focuses on romance. So their whole phrase is where love is all you need. And it's a really cool thing. Sandals does that very well in bringing couples together, I think. For their family side at Beaches Resorts, they have something called Togetherness Suites. And the layout of the rooms and the accommodations, the things that are there, are designed with all kinds of families in mind. They have just very simple one kind of bedroom sort of situation. It's the closest I could think to a traditional hotel room, though there's not really anything traditional about the decor or the amenities or the views that you get at all about it. There are penthouse suites, there are beachfront suites, there are butler villa residences, there are other types of family suites that are available, and other types of villas that are available as well. So, and one of the really cool things that I love in the Italian beachfront 2-bedroom, they have a family butler suite that has bunk beds in it for the kids, and it's really cool. And I love that they have little TVs in there. There's a trundle that pulls out underneath the bunk beds if you have a lot of kids, like you do in my family. And if you need, like I said, cribs, pack and plays, that kind of thing. Those are things that we can definitely look into for you. Like I said earlier about dining, they have literally 5-star rated Global Gourmet. They use the best ingredients possible. I mentioned that we were going to talk about allergies a little bit. If you do have a food allergy, make sure you tell your agent, like if you're working with me or somebody else, make sure you tell them that they know so they can communicate that properly to the resort, to give them a heads up, because that's one thing that we deal with. We've got allergies in my family. I've talked about that before, especially when we've traveled to Walt Disney World. Those are things that can ruin your vacation if you don't plan well, but they don't have to. And Beaches is very good about catering to those allergy needs. If it's anything from gluten-free to you're allergic to shellfish, like I am, to maybe you can't have dairy, or it's something more serious, not just you're gluten-free, but maybe you have celiac disease, those kinds of things. Or you have another food allergy, maybe that I haven't named. Tell those and they will accommodate you. They're not going to, you don't have to eat salads the whole time. That's one of the things that I was talking about with our Sandals and Beaches representative the other day. She mentioned that some people don't know that. And, I want to tell you that they will accommodate your needs. This is the level of service, very personalized service that you get at Beaches Resorts. Not all inclusives. And again, we're focusing on beaches tonight, but not all inclusives will will be this particular about serving their guests, and make sure that you're taken care of, because they understand. They want to make sure that that you have an amazing time as you're there. Also want to mention one thing that I absolutely love. Now, I'm a bit of a coffee drinker. I don't know if you are. If you're a coffee drinker, we'd love to hear from you in the comments if you're still watching tonight. I love coffee, and normally when I drink coffee in the morning, I just brew my cup. I grind the beans. I have a bird grinder. I do have a French press. Don't use it a whole lot. It's an R2D2 French press, by the way, so it's pretty fun. I don't do pour overs or cold brews at home or anything like that typically, but grind my beans and I drink it, just kind of get my daily morning caffeine fix, like a lot of folks do. My favorite coffee in the whole world comes from Jamaica. It's Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee. If you've never had a pure blend, not a like if you go to the grocery store, you can probably find a Blue Mountain blend in the grocery store for like 10 or 12 bucks or something like that. The true blue 100% Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee can go for $50, $60 a pound whole bean sometimes in the States where you're roasted. When you're there in Jamaica, it's still going to be probably 30 plus bucks a bag for a pound of coffee or so. So, I mean, this is very good coffee, and Sandals and Beaches Resorts serves Blue Mountain coffee at all of the resorts, whether they are in Jamaica or not. Again, I mentioned there are two beach resorts that are in Jamaica. They have several Sandals resorts that are in Jamaica as well, and then several kind of scattered across the Caribbean and Bahamas. So Beaches has a lot to offer everyone. And again, I mentioned a lot of different types of food. Of course, you're going to have some traditional Jamaican food available, pizzerias, other types of Italian food, kind of your typical American flair, sushi restaurants, French restaurants, a lot of different things, Caribbean food. So definitely check it out. There's a lot of different food options, and not just like the flavors of food that are available, but the locations. They have some dining locations that are on the water, over view the water, that kind of thing. They have some that are more walk up. They have some that take reservations and whatnot. And the nightlife is great too. It's not like a party atmosphere that you may think of with some of these all-inclusive resorts that are out there. So they are really focused on making sure families have a great time together, and they are able to build some amazing memories. And for me, that is what it is all about. Going to an all-inclusive resort is not about just, throwing some money at the wall and hoping you have a good time along the way. It's about making some memories. It's about not having to worry about cooking and cleaning and what you're going to do and, all those things, and worry about your kids. I mean, being in a safe place and all this kind of stuff. It's a very protective, safe environment. And I'm a big fan of the Sandals and Beaches Resorts family, as we've talked about tonight. So if you have any questions about Sandals or Beaches specifically, please let me know. There are a lot of great options out there that are available. Different types of promotions that come along on occasion. Right now, many of the Sandals and Beaches resorts are being booked out, kind of almost pushed completely into 2022. There is some availability kind of sprinkled about in the fall and the winter of 2021. But let me know if you have questions about that. Would love to take a look. Let me take a look here back at some of our comments in the feed tonight. So Jen, hello, Jen. Thank you for tuning in tonight. She says that is epic. R2D2 French press. Now that might make me want to drink coffee. It's a pretty cool thing. I love it. It was actually a Christmas present from my mother-in-law a few years ago. And the first time I used it, the water was too hot when I put it in there, and it actually like it had thermal shock, so it cracked. And anyway, the company that makes them, I think they're called Think Geek, if I remember, sent me a new one, and everything's good. We've used it a few times to cold brew coffee when we do, let it sit kind of overnight in the fridge, and then traditional French press on other occasions. So Charles is talking some about some other travel memories that he has. He said, we also love the little Delphi village. Talking about in Greece, after touring the ruins and the museum, the village at night had a relaxing vibe. That's pretty cool. It's really fun. And I think it brings up a great point. So we plan all these great vacations and trips and things that hopefully we'll make some memories and have some fun, maybe learn some things along the way and take some pictures and Instagram and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, sometimes you're tired. Like, if you've been to Walt Disney World before, you know what Disney tired is. And Disney tired is like, there's no tired, like not like Disney tired. you want to make sure when you're going and you're going to relax and you're going to have fun and you're going to have a place to unwind during the day. Beaches definitely has that. And that's one thing that I want to make sure that the folks that I work with have an opportunity to think about. Jen says the Spanish Steps as far as our question of the day goes. And again, for those of you that are just popping on, that is, what is your favorite non-Disney travel memory? So the Spanish Steps were really cool. I got to see those also when I was a kid, and that was pretty amazing. So lots of great comments tonight and great travel memories. Thank you all so much for sharing that with us. For those of you that are still listening, I would love to hear from you. What are some things that you would like covered? I've got a kind of a running list of things that we're going to go through on Travel Tips Tuesday. And, again, as I mentioned, from maybe having my wife on, I mentioned earlier that we're going to talk about autism and travel a little bit. I'm going to mention that kind of as an addendum to our conversation about beaches in a second. But my buddy David Dollar, who's over at the Main Street Electrical Podcast, who has invited me to be on their show. Hopefully that will be happening in the future. Again, that's the Main Street Electrical Podcast. For those of you that are podcast listeners out there, they've started to do some of their stuff kind of pre-recorded on YouTube a little bit, but their main presence is a pre-recorded show on most podcast players out there. It's great. Anyway, David is an amazing dad, husband, human being all around. And he's married to his wife, Stephanie. They live about an hour and a half south of me, and they have an amazing son named Campbell, who is on the autism spectrum. And he has mentioned that he may come on the show to talk about traveling with autism, a son who has autism, and what that looks like and what that means. David, he works for a completely different travel agency, but that we're buddies. It's fine. We hang out on occasion, a couple of times a year or so. And that's something that I want to learn more about, because not just so, I can serve those families with maybe children who have autism better, but so that I can be more aware and sensitive to those issues as they come, because I want everybody to have a great time, regardless of who they are, regardless of what they going on. If they're, wheelchair bound, if they have mobility issues, whatever the case is, I take the time to get to know people to make sure that they're going to have an amazing experience, and they're not even going to think about what may be holding them back. And for a lot of people, those things don't. That's who they are, and it's part of their identity, and that's great, and that's awesome. That's how they were made and how they were created. So one thing about Beaches Resorts is they are, I believe it's the only fully certified autism facility in the Caribbean, where they have people that are trained on staff. They're certified nannies, as I mentioned, and the rest of their staff are trained on how to work with children and adults that have autism, that are on the spectrum. And I have some very specific questions. I'm like, well, so what does that mean? Do they keep an eye on them all the time? Because, autism spectrum is a very broad thing. There's some that are higher functioning that do, better in social settings. There are some that are not as kind of have some social challenges and whatnot. They cater them every step of the way. They're patient, they're kind, they are alert, and they keep them safe. And also related to that, diets can also be an issue as well. And they want to make sure that they are fed well and that they're going to stay on a diet like they're used to at home. So they will take care of you all every step of the way, and you won't have to think twice. It's a great place to think about going for a break with your family anyway. So thank you all so much for joining and hopping on Travel Tips Tuesday tonight. What is in your perfect park bag? Wow, that is a great question. I like that, Jen. I'm going to have to write that down when we get done. I've got a running list on my notes folder, and I'll definitely add that to that. We might have to do that next week. We'll see. It's a perfect park bag. That's a great question, because COVID things changes. We'll definitely have to talk about that someday. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in to Travel Tips Tuesday tonight. Don't forget to, if you have any questions about travel in general, feel free to give me a shout. I don't charge anything extra for my planning services. Also, check out our YouTube channel. Please subscribe, ring that notification bell so you can be aware of when we're going live on YouTube. If you like to watch my face on the big screen for whatever reason, smart TVs and Rokus and whatever, feel free to do that. But definitely search Travel Tips Tuesday on YouTube, look for the logo, and we'd love for you to subscribe there. Hopefully when we get to the parks in a few months, we'll have more content, different kinds of content than just the weekly show to provide for you. I have the chance to possibly go to Disney World twice this fall, and potentially Disneyland as well. So hopefully we'll have some cool stuff to share. So thank you all so much again for tuning in tonight. We hope you have a magical rest of your week, and we will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.